Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to the internet and welcome to my channel. It's your guy, ODO. I'm back again. I'm going to do another review today of another movie. This one's called Kung Fu Panda 4. Woohoo! With Jack Black starring as Po. Now, I didn't have my channel around when the other ones came out. I mean, the last one, Kung Fu Panda 3, was almost a decade ago in 2016. I mean, quick synopsis. In the first one, he becomes the Dragon Master of the Furious Five. The second one, he pretty much lives as the Dragon Master fighting evil villains. And the third one, he sort of becomes a teacher to a bunch of young pandas. I thought all three of them were okay. Perfect. Now we're all right up to date. And Kung Fu Panda 4 starts off right about there. Ooh. So all of his old villains that he defeated in the other ones may be making a return in this one in some fashion or another. Ooh, exciting. So the movie starts off in a mine somewhere with a bunch of animals mining for gold or something. And out of nowhere we see Tai Lung. He's the tiger played by Ian McShane from the first movie. He comes in with his voice like, it's me, Tai Lung, I'm back. I'm going to terrorize you all unless you get the Dragon Warrior to stop me. And they all scream and run away and they're like, whoa. And obviously he's been defeated. He's sent to the spirit realm. So how did he come back? Is this a zombie Tai Lung? What's going on? Ooh, mysteries afoot. So then we cut over and you get to see Po. He's back, played by Jack Black again, and now this time he's the full-on Dragon Warrior. He's got that dragon staff, and they open up to him on a beach somewhere fighting a giant fish. It's really cool. You get to see him run up a dock, punch this thing through the air. The animation's really good. You get some nice background, like yellow and like almost the old Batman, like kabliffo and bam effects when he hits things. Really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. So Po is basically living the dream. He's the Dragon Warrior. He's the king of it all. He's the greatest warrior. It's what he's always wanted, and he's on top of the world. Now, the Furious Five don't seem to be around in this one. They're all off on mission. Those little pandas that he trained don't seem to be around for much of this either. But his master is back, and his two dads. I love his two dads that they run the noodle shop together now. One of them's the panda, and the other one, I can't remember, is it like a lemur or something? It's They're really funny, though. You see a lot of them in this movie, and they kind of team up, but we'll get into that in a moment. So Po's master tells him it's time for him to move on. He's already achieved all he can as the Dragon Warrior. It's time for him to choose a successor and to become like a spiritual advisor to the valley. Po does not want to do that. Like anyone. I mean, he's already on top of the world. All his dreams are fulfilled. Who wants to give that up? Definitely not Po. So they bring in a couple of other new warriors to try to be the next Dragon Warrior. None of them are the Furious Five. You get to see some cool characters. They come down, do some ninja tricks and things like that. And Po watches all of them, and the Master's like, yeah, some of these are pretty good. Po's like, yes, I choose me. Yeah. It's almost like a Willow moment where he's like, choose the finger. But he decides to pick himself as the Dragon Master, the Dragon Warrior. He doesn't want to give it up. And he doesn't want to move on. And then the villagers come out of nowhere. The ones that were the miners that were attacked by Tai Lung, they tell him that he's returned from the spirit realm and he's threatening them and that he has to go and try to stop them. And he's like, well, I guess you'll need me, the Dragon Warrior, to go on this. And his Master Shifu's insisting, like, no, listen, you have to pick a successor. It's over for you. And he's like, no, I must go on this quest. And so embark on this quest he does. And that's pretty much where our movie starts off. That's where the adventure begins. So as Po is setting off on his adventure, a robbery takes place. Someone tries to steal the dragon staff from him. It's a fox. Sly as a fox, they say. It's a character kind of reminds me of Aladdin. It's Zen, played by Awkwafina. I don't like Awkwafina as a voice actress, but actually she's pretty good here. I liked her in this movie. She made me laugh quite a few times. It's a well-written character. So she's coming in trying to steal the dragon staff. We don't really know why or much about her character. So they're having a fight and whatever, and of course he is the Dragon Warrior, so by the end of it he defeats her. Or does she let him win? And she gets put in prison. And then when she hears about Tai Lung coming back, she's like, well, maybe it's not him. Maybe it's someone else, like a different villain. He's like, I don't know how you would know that. And she's like, well, it could be the Chameleon, which is going to be the real villain of this movie. And she's like, you'll need someone with knowledge to find the Chameleon. He's like, okay, where would I find such a person? She's like, really? It's me. That's what. So she was going to go to prison for a while. So he ends up teaming up with her and taking her out of jail, of course, even though the Master's like, what are you doing? No, you have to find a successor. So they team up and they're off on an adventure to go find out what's happening with Tai Lung and this Chameleon. And so when they set out, he leaves his two dads behind, and they get worried about him, so they follow him. They have a little side adventure too. They are a lot of fun. All the places Poe and Zen go, they come in and after him, and he creates chaos. It's a lot of fun. It's a grand adventure, as they say. So Zen the fox randomly joins him after that, and he explains to her along the way that even if she had stolen the staff, she couldn't use the power unless it's freely given, and that's the whole trick to it. So as they're going, they go to like this bar. They're trying to find their way to the city and get a ride. They they totally wreck the place. There's some really funny moments in this. You will really have a good time watching. If you haven't seen it, I hadn't seen the other three in years, but I still really enjoyed this. I remember Poe as soon as I seen him. I knew what I was in for. Like I said, not a lot of the returning Furious 5 and things, but the main ones are there. His master and his two dads and Poe. So as they journey along, they go to the big city. And Poe's never seen any city this big. Kind of, you get a little bit more Zen's backstory here. She sort of grew up like Aladdin, a street urchin. Gotta steal to eat, gotta eat to live, living on the streets, stealing stuff, running away from the guards, the police as it were. She gives you a little impression that it was bad, but not so bad, until the chameleon came along and took over. Then you really see that that person was super evil, doing villainous things, robbing people, taking them, literally had guards shaking people upside down to take their money out of them. And you see the chameleon can turn into anything, giant shapes, small shapes, so it could be anyone or anything. Even takes over the crime syndicate like that. The chameleon is played by, or voiced by Viola Davis. She does a fantastic job. It's a great villain. It's a fun villain, but also really evil. Gives you the impression the whole time that she doesn't put up with any kind of guff, you know? It doesn't tolerate any failure or anything in the organization. So eventually we realize the chameleon's plan is to use the dragon staff, but she has to get it first, and she has no way to. So Poe going in there to attack her because he realizes that she's Tai Lung and causing all the trouble. And on the way in there, he goes in there with Zen the fox, and they fight off some guys, and we get a pretty obvious fox betrayal here. She betrays him, and when he gets trapped, he's like, here, take my staff and help me out. And because he gave her the staff freely, she instantly shows him she's a villain. And she walks over and gives the staff right to the chameleon. And the chameleon wants to use his staff. The chameleon's master plan is to call upon the spirits of all the kung fu warriors of old and to steal their powers. And before she does this, she actually, after she gets Zen to betray Poe, she kicks him off the castle. They're super high up, and it looks like he's done for. Zen feels bad, but anyway, when you go back in there, the chameleon first calls on Ian McShane, the real one is Tai Lung, steals his power. Then you see her systematically call all the villains from all the other movies back and steal all their kung fu powers. So she will have the ultimate kung fu power and be able to fight Poe and defeat him. So as Poe is falling down, he gets rescued by his two dads. Yay! They've been following along across his misadventures. His dad, the Panda one, is kind of a coward, but he wants to save his son. He pretends to be brave a couple times. Works out once, not so great another time. His other dad, the pragmatic one, owns a noodle shop. He's a great guy to have around because he saves him and explains. He's always giving good advice to Poe every time he's around him, right? He's his longtime mentor. So Poe gets ready to go, and he goes up for the final battle against the chameleon. Of course, he runs into Zen on the way. They have a fight. She realizes her mistake of her ways, and she's going to help him out. And then we get the big final battle against the chameleon. This is pretty great. I love it's very cinematic. The CGI or animation is really cool. You get to see this chameleon take multiple forms. Elephants, rhinos, tigers, using different types of kung fu and everything to defeat Poe. And it takes a collected effort of him and his dads and the fox. They all have to work together to basically defeat the chameleon because on their own, none of them could do it, but all together they can because he's badly outnumbered. There's also a few times where you see Poe meditating and he has other voices in his head, so he also uses them to help him to defeat the chameleon. So we get a gigantic final confrontation against the chameleon where everyone works to defeat the chameleon, take her down, and defeat her. And when she's finally defeated and they get the dragon staff and everything back, it's really, you get a great moment where they're just all victorious standing there like, yeah, it's finally over. The chameleon's done for. Everyone's free of her tyranny now. And Poe is still the dragon warrior like you want it to be. And you get a nice cut. They go back to the valley where they're all from. Everyone gets a happy ending. And they're about to throw Zen the fox back in jail for her crimes from earlier. And Poe's like, of course, revealing that, you know what? Why don't you become my new not Padawan, but my new person I'm going to train to be the next Dragon Warrior, and I'll be your mentor. And they show her meeting the Furious Five and everybody. I don't know if I want her to take over as Poe. Poe's really the heart and soul of these movies. You're going to need him as and Jack Black to come back. But it was pretty cool to see her in it anyway. She didn't do a bad job. I liked her character. I was okay with her being his sidekick the whole time, but I don't know if I'd want her to have the whole movie. But overall, it was a good time. Really enjoyed it. Had a few laughs. Had a few moments where I was worried about it. A few exciting, adventurous things take place, and you get some fun action for the kids. But like I said, lots of good stuff in there for me, too. Plus, it's part 4. If you watched all the other 3, why not give it a go? You already know what you're in for. But thanks so much for listening this far, guys. I really appreciate that. Please like, share, and subscribe to the video. And remember, everyone, stay out of trouble.